guys, Melissadunn here with the Melissadunn Realty team, and I'm joined today for our Inspector 101 class with Inspector Chris Story with Greenworks Home Inspections. Chris, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us and helping to educate our buyers. Could you give us a quick bio about yourself and who you work for?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work for Greenworks Engineering and Inspections. I've been with them for 4 years now. I'm the Fort Worth Market Director and Senior Inspector.
Awesome. Okay. And we have inspected many homes. Well, you've inspected many homes for me together. And I always value your opinion. So
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. Cool. So let's jump into our questions. And the first question that we have, what exactly is a general home inspector? What do you do and what's your value for our buyers?
Absolutely. So, it really says it in the name. We are generalists. What we do is we go into the home and we inspect everything top to bottom, left to right, from the appliances, HVAC, water heater, and then we check the bones, structural, and then sometimes even notate any preventative measures that you can take on the home to prevent some types of damage. So we really get a real deep, in-depth exposure of the home for the clients.
Awesome. Yeah, I love whenever we're doing our inspections with you guys because you really do go into a lot of detail about, what they can expect on the property, what they might need to work on in the future, and what, we might need to start seeking out some higher, I guess, more specialized professional advice on too. So we always appreciate that. So, Story, what should I expect during my home inspection? What should our buyers expect during that process?
The first thing that I would say is do not expect a perfect house. There's no such thing. Every single home that we go into is going to have issues, whether it be a brand new construction or a 10-year-old home or a 110-year-old home. So don't be overwhelmed with the information that you're going to receive at the home inspection. Just because there are issues with the home does not mean that it's a lemon. So
awesome. Yeah. I think we usually get like 30 to 50 pages, I think, on most of the properties that we're inspecting. And it's your job to call out every single little thing that's considered a defect with the property. And then we have to have the discussion with the buyer, okay, what is really, really important to you that this is fixed and it's a sound investment for you. And, then we start into our negotiations on, okay, is buyer going to pay to fix this or are we going to ask the seller to? So that's always the fun part for us as realtors.
Yeah, understandable.
Okay, so next question. So when we have a lot of buyers who are looking in some of these neighborhoods that have older homes, and there's pros to cons, whenever we're purchasing an older home. Some of the pros are that we get a bigger lot, we get more character in our neighborhood. Sometimes we get, different price points that are attractive for our buyers. And older homes also carry with them some cons or some challenges that we have to address. So some of the most common ones, one would be the older electrical panel. So what do our buyers need to know about an older electrical panel on a home?
I would say the first thing you really want to focus on is the brand of the panel, especially when you're dealing with older homes. There are some problematic panels out there that have been investigated and found to be faulty or not up to par. And a lot of these homes have these panels, especially these older homes, have these panels installed, as in the Federal Pacific panel or the Zinsco or Sylvania panels, that have been in this home the entire time and haven't caused any issues at all. Just because there aren't any issues with it at this point doesn't necessarily mean that it's all good to go. So that's why we always remove the cover regardless of the brand of the panel, take a look inside, and we'll notate any type of deficiency that's in there. If we see signs of overheating, we always use our thermal imaging at Greenworks when it comes to our electrical panels, and it gives us a great view to see if there's any overheating wires. And then we visually inspect those panels too, to make sure that there's no damage, making sure that there's no aluminum wiring in it. If there is aluminum wiring, making sure it has the proper antioxidant paste and the proper connections. All of these things we'll notate in the report for you. And then When we're done with the inspection, we'll go over all of those items with you and, give you a good suggestion on whether a licensed electrician is going to be needed to further evaluate it or not.
Yeah, and it should be said too that whenever you have an inspector like Greenworks come out, they're going to look at everything top to bottom on the house, and they're going to kind of let us know, okay, do we need to call out the specialist, the electrician, the plumber, the structural engineer, all those fun jobs that we appreciate very much.
Yes,
so,
and that's where the general. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, that's where the generalist comes in as far as the general home inspection. We always, once we find the issue, we send it off to the licensed professional, like you said, to determine the cause of the issue, and then he'll be able to tell you what type of repair, if any, is necessary.
Right. Yeah. So again, kind of on this theme of the older home, when we're buying an older property, most of the time we're going to have cast iron plumbing. Can you tell us a little bit about what is cast iron plumbing and why is it something that the buyer should be aware of and plan accordingly for?
Absolutely. So the first thing that you need to know about cast iron plumbing is it will need to be replaced at some point. Typically, we are looking at about a 50-year shelf life, just depending on obviously what's flushed down there, the type of water. If you have hard water, it's going to be a little bit harder on those cast iron pipes as well too. So I would say, one, if you find you have cast iron in your older home, definitely plan and save to be replacing that sometime in the near future. Once I identify cast iron, I always recommend that the buyers perform a sewer camera on it. So that's something us as Greenworks can do as well as a licensed plumber. We can run a sewer camera in the cast iron, and what we're going to be looking for is delamination of the pipe, any damage, any bellies, anywhere where it's going to hold water or foreign objects that could cause a blockage. We look for blockage as well too. You really just need to know the condition of that cast iron, and that way you can make an educated decision on, okay, this needs to be replaced now, and you can price accordingly to that. Or, okay, the cast iron looks okay right now, but we know that it's going to have some issues, so you can set aside some money to make sure that that's taken care of when the issue arises.
Yeah. Yeah, I always tell, even my nephew just bought a house and had cast iron. I was like, you need to plan. Just plan. It's fine now. Just plan that eventually it's going to go and you need to address it. Cool. So what about another thing, especially here in North Texas, what about whenever you come out and you do your inspection and your report shows that the foundation level is off a little bit? Can you tell us a little bit about if we should freak out at that point or what we should do?
Yeah, absolutely. So every inspection that any Greenworks inspector does, we use a zip level. And what that is it's the same tool that an engineer would use to come out and basically measure the foundation. The zip level measures that foundation within tenths of an inch. So the first thing I would tell you is if it comes out of tolerance, don't freak out. That does not necessarily mean that a permanent repair is going to be necessary. I really try and educate my clients on the issues that we're seeing, the cause of those issues, which would be the foundation. And then we would recommend an engineer come in and do a floor deflection on the calculation, because that's what's important. Just because it's out of tolerance doesn't mean a repair is necessary, but if that floor is deflected, that's where you want to bring it back as best you can to prevent continued movement, really, is what you're doing.
Awesome. Okay. So another thing that should be mentioned also, whenever you have an inspector come out, you have the ability to choose any inspector that you want. Greenworks, they are one of our preferred companies just because you have a ton of inspectors, and we can usually get somebody out from Greenworks within like 48 hours of going under contract, which is a big deal in some of these busier summer months. But, I really love that you guys can get out so quickly. You do take time with the buyers after you've done your 4-hour inspection. You really do take time to educate them on what you found, kind of orientate them to the property and what they need to do moving forward. It's just preventative maintenance to make sure that, they are protecting their investment. So I really do love that about you guys. And outside of what Greenworks offers, we also send out a RCAT certified roofer to every single one of our buyers' properties that they put under contract to do an additional roof inspection, just because it helps you, know exactly what you're getting into. And then we also have a list of preferred vendors for structural engineer, foundation repair, plumbing, electrical, all that fun stuff. So yeah. And we really do. Greenworks has been fantastic for us for the majority of our clients, and just making sure that, they're getting into really sound investments and they know what they are purchasing. So we appreciate you guys. Okay, Inspector Story.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you feel like you need to cover, or do you think that we have covered it all in this video?
No, obviously we could talk about homes all day long, but as far as the older homes go, the biggest thing to keep in mind is, again, don't freak out when your report comes back with 60 pages and 150 deficiencies, because it will, chances are, if it's an older home, and as long as it hasn't been completely remodeled and updated recently, you're going to have things come back. So just don't freak out. Get a good inspector that's going to spend time with you, sit down with you, explain the deficiencies, the issues, the causes of them, and we'll give his professional opinion on what's important, what may need to be taken care of immediately, and what's a safety issue. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Inspector Story. We appreciate you educating our buyers, and we will catch you guys on our next video.
All right. Thank you very much.